Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. We have our big friend and a colleague, Ivailo.
What's going on, everyone?
And today we will be talking about graphs, about statistics, the actual truth. Because nobody knows, you talk to half of the people and they tell you one thing. And then the other half tell you the other thing. But
I live my life.
numbers don't lie.
Women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie. That's
I love
literally
that.
how I live my life.
Perfect.
Yeah, very big on numbers.
Yeah. So today we have the Toronto Real Estate Board MLS actual statistics, and Violet took out the graphs from 1994 all the way to 2023. Well, hoping we can maybe explain the future here by knowing the past. So tell us a little bit.
So this graph is super important. Everybody talks about prices. That's the most important thing to everybody. So I like to analyze every single price. So here it gives us a very, very macro representation of like what the price trend is, because we have prices since 1994 till today. And we also have the trend line, which is the yellow line that you see here is the trend line from that period of time. So what I want to focus on today is this red circle over here. Why do I want to focus on that today? Is because this part over here, as you guys can see, that's what happened in 2017. That's what happened when the market crashed in 2017. And this over here is what's happening today. So what I want to focus on is how those two times correlate based on what the graph looks like. And based on what happened in the past, can we have any sort of representation of what might happen this time around? Is there any similarities? Is there anything that we need to look out for based on these charts that we can, I don't want to say predict, because nobody can predict the future,
Absolutely,
but what we can forecast potentially will happen.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're actually going to forget the rest of the graph for now, and we're only going to take a look at this for today.
Want me to zoom it in?
Yeah, let's zoom in just on that. So right here, we're literally just zooming in from 2016 till 2023, and this is what it looks like. And we're gonna focus on these two places right here. So when I took a look at this, a couple of things really stood out to me. So in 2016, if for those of you that were in the market or had any intention of getting in the market or anything to do with the market in that time, you're gonna know that 2016 was an absolute crazy year.
Bidding wars everywhere.
Yeah, bidding wars.
Yeah.
Exact same thing as what happened now. It's just bidding wars all over the place. Things going over crazy over asking, right? So leaving that aside, I'm just taking a look at the lines here, and I'm seeing, I don't want to say exactly the same, but very, very much identical chart pattern to what happened back then. So
explain a little bit.
So I'm gonna just start pointing here. So right here is 2016, beginning of 2016. So around February, March of 2016 is when we really started to get heated up, and that's what happened right here, right? So we see a pretty big spike in 2016 right up here, and if we zoom in over here, this is 2020, right? Actually, sorry, 2020 is right back here. So I made the circle here incorrect, but let's just take a look at 2020. This is the beginning of pandemic.
It's the exact same.
Yeah, so this is the beginning of the pandemic. We're right here, almost the same month. So we're going up, and then we have a little bit of a downturn here, which is this little downturn. Now we have, again, we're going up. Here, the uptrend was a little bit higher. Again, interest rate actually stayed higher for a lower for a longer period of time than 2016 did. But the chart goes up here and then it comes right back down, and this huge peak over here is the exact same peak as over there, and it quickly did a V shape coming right back down.
Amazing, man.
Right? Exactly the same as what it did, right? So right here, once we came back down, we actually went back up. This is the little peak right here. It came back down, and this was over here January. Now we're in February. This peak over here represents February of 2023. This peak right here came back down. So this is the peak right here.
Okay.
Right? So now, what can we predict for moving forward? Is it going to follow the exact same? So far, I wouldn't say identical, but very, very similar to what it was what was
kind of
happening.
projecting back in the
Exactly. So it's just our question: does history repeat itself? Right? Like that's what kind of the question
point.
is.
I mean, like it's like you explained it thoroughly, but looking at the graph, just by looking at it,
Yep.
obviously you just focus on the yellow average,
Yeah.
right? But then if you dive in deep and you did like such a phenomenal job, like making it so simple, right? Like, but it's exactly the same beat. I mean, identical almost, right?
It's almost identical, right? Like whether it's going up or down a little bit more than the other one, obviously represents different things that happen in the market. Now, a lot of these, like the reason you're seeing up, down, up, down, up, down,
right?
Seasonalities play a big part of that, right? So we all know, and I'll show you guys where we get our seasonalities from. Again, huge on numbers, but the next couple of slides, I'll show you guys what happens with seasonalities. We all know that as, let's start with January, February, things are a little bit slow. Once we get into the March, April, May, things ramp up. Once we get into June, July, things slow down. So those are the things that you guys see, and most of them are seasonalities. These big peaks are obviously low interest rates, pandemic,
big things, right? Like
just
big,
major
huge
things.
events, or,
exactly that happen, right?
So where's the actual pandemic when it started? So
pandemic is a 2020, right beginning of 2020.
So it's right here.
Yep.
So we saw a big.
So we seen in the pandemic. So the prices were already going up.
Yes.
Initially going into the 2019, 2020. So this huge drop right here was the pandemic hit in March. Everything shut down.
Wow.
Everything shut down. Couldn't move, right? Nobody can sell, buy, can't even go on showings, let alone buy something, right? So that's why you see the huge drop in prices here. This is about mid-April to May is when we seen a huge shot up. That's when things opened up. Interest rates were at 0.25%. People now started getting a little more confidence. Now that there was 2 or 3 months of being locked up, they started going to open houses, they started going showings. That's when things started ramping up, and look what happened to the prices. It just kept going, right? And that's a direct correlation with, and I have another chart, which we're not going to talk about today, but maybe another video. I have another chart, the correlation between interest rates and price. So I literally just put what the interest rate is compared to the price for the last 10, 15 years. And you can see a direct correlation. As soon as interest rates come down, prices go up, and vice versa, right? So
sure. Do you want to touch into this one because it's GTA, right?
So this is what we do on a monthly basis for all of our clients, and we literally just take a look at 3 important statistics, which are listings, sales, as well as price. So the reason that we take a look at this, and this is for the last 5 years, so since 2019 to 2023.
So the blue one is 2019.
Yeah, so the blue one is 2019, and the reason this just gives you a visual representation of what happens. Talking about seasonalities, for instance.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, for instance, I mean, let's leave out 2020, which is the yellow line, right? Because 2020 was the pandemic hit and things were going crazy, a lot of bit, different things, right? So, but other than that, you can pretty much see that everything follows almost an exact
same curve,
right? Yeah. So when our clients ask us, when are most listings that usually come on market, when are the most sales, what's the price usually, we can take out these charts and we can really show them what's been happening. Now, just to kind of go in on 2023, I mean, historically, we've had in the last 5 years, and if I pull charts back, it's probably going to be one of the lowest in the amount of listings that we've had. And what's really keeping the prices where they are is low inventory.
Lack of inventory.
Absolutely. Right? That's what it is, right? And here, last year we had 14,000 new listings. This year, 8,000.
8,000.
Crazy
and having said that, with between 2019 and 2022, there has been new inventory actually built.
Oh, 100%.
Do you understand what I mean? Like more units have been developed.
Yeah, more availability.
More availability, right?
Yeah.
Although, look where we are.
It's just crazy. This is what happened the last couple of years when the market was just crazy. Everybody was listing their homes. But we have to always take a look at the correlation between listings and sales. Mm-hmm. If you have a lot of listings and no sales, prices are going down. Or vice versa, right?
Sure.
So this is a good indication, but then we take a look at our next one. So if you want to flip on to the next one.
Sure.
So here we're taking a look at the correlation between sales as well as listings, right? So even though we had 8,000 or 8,000 and change new listings last month, we had 4,700 of them that actually sold, right? So
50%?
57%.
57%.
57%. So out of all the listings, 57% actually sold. Now, the reason we look at that number is the consumption rate is because anything under 40%, we're in a heavy buyer's market. 40 to 60%, we're in a neutral or balanced market, and anything over 60%, we're in a seller's market.
So
right?
which I believe, and what we kind of feel as agents as well, is that we are kind of in a normal market.
Balanced, yeah. Normal, balanced, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You know, it's not the sellers, not the buyer's market. Yeah. People are selling, they're getting the actual asking price within reasons, right? Because
exactly.
Some people want last year's pricing, and we both, you know.
We all know that's it's not going to happen anymore. It's going to take quite a while for those sellers to get what they're actually looking for last year's prices, but it's not going to happen in a while. But just kind of taking a look at this, we're saying, hey, listen, like we're actually very few listings on market, and our sales are keeping up with that. With those listings, which is keeping demand and supply very, very neutral, which is keeping, I mean, that's, even without looking at the next slide, which is prices, I already know what happened to the price based on looking at the sales and listings. And at 57%, where we're almost into a seller's territory, I'll tell you right now, prices did go up, right, last month. Just based on looking at these two listings.
It feels like it, right? Like even when you're driving, like just for an ordinary person driving 100%. To work and home, they see a sold sign. You know what I mean?
More sold signs, even for those people that are casually looking at open houses and stuff like that. Now you're going to an open house and you might want to go see it again next weekend. It's not there, right? So it's things are starting to pick up a lot. If they're priced correctly, things are selling. Yep. Homes are selling if they're priced correctly. Obviously, if sellers living in past tense, it's not going to sell. But if things are priced correctly, they're selling very, very well.
Great.
Let's take a look at what happens with prices.
Valuable information.
Absolutely.
Right.
So prices, again, easily interpreting the information. Right here is the red line. It's 2023. Look what happened where we're in January, where we are in February. So a couple of things to dissect and here is obviously with 57% consumption rate, prices are going to go up because we're very close to seller's territory. And that's not seller territory overall, that's just for 1 month.
Sure.
Right? So right here in January, we probably seen a 57% increase in that is a representation of about $60,000, give or take. Which $60,000 is
5% on $1 million.
It's a lot. That's a lot. That's a big increase for us to be in the market that we currently are.
Yeah, in this situation and in this.
2 years ago, $60,000 was that's a week worth of appreciation,
I know,
right?
A week, exactly.
But nowadays that's quite a big jump from month to month.
Right.
And for those sellers, buyers, or anybody that's looking at the market and trying to dissect it, like this is why I do this graph, because you can easily see what happens usually with pricing. Now, 2022 is an unusual year. That's why you're going to see prices just falling. This is interest rate right where they started.
March, right?
Right
March.
where, February.
March,
So right where they started raising interest rates, you guys can see, boom, right? So everybody was saying, oh, the prices are crashing, this and this and this, and I kept telling everybody, because I have this information, like, look what happened since July. We're pretty flat. Right? We're pretty flat, and when we come over here, we're still pretty flat. Like there's not much has really changed since July, right? And everybody's expecting this huge drop, and
it's not gonna happen.
I'm waiting for the market to drop another 50%, and I keep telling people, like, look at the line, it's just straight, pretty much, right? So I don't think we're gonna even if we do see another drop, it won't. I don't see it falling below this number right over here, where I believe the bottom was somewhere in December, January. That's probably where the bottom is, and I'll show you guys another chart that I have, which calls the bottom at 1.062.
Let's see it.
So this is GTA average price change, and the reason that I love this chart is because it shows you what the height of the market was. February 2022, as all you guys know, that was the absolute height of the market in the GTA. And these are all the prices. Now, how does that correlate to what happened over the last couple of months? So this is the January numbers, and this is the most recent February numbers. Now here we have percentage change, a couple different percentage changes. One since the peak of the market, and one since last month. So as you guys are gonna notice, everything from last year, including over there, is all red.
All red.
There's not one area that did not depreciate since last
got
year,
affected,
right?
Yes.
But since January, look at all these areas that are in green now, right? So we're seeing a lot more
look at the
green.
Central.
Yeah, so this is
That's
Toronto
Toronto
Central,
Central.
10% appreciation since last month.
Last
Now,
month.
the other thing that, because obviously we're looking at these charts and there's going to be somebody out there that says, but this, but that. So I'm going to throw it out there and just say yes. So sometimes what happens is if there's not enough data to collect from, let's say that we have 10 out of 30 homes that were sold at a higher price range this month compared to last month, that's going to really affect the numbers.
Sure.
But that's where we're taking the averages. So, you know, a lot of the smaller areas where we're looking at Caledon, for instance, minus 25% in 1 month. If you live in Caledon, you did not lose 25% of your home value last month. I promise you. It's just Caledon is a smaller area to look at. So sometimes the lower priced properties are going to sell 1 month, and the next month the higher priced properties are going to sell.
Yeah, depending on the diversity of the current listings.
Exactly.
And the market. Yeah.
However, bigger areas with more data to pull from, more sales and more listings, things like Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto, right? Those areas, Halton, those areas we have a bigger data point to look at. So those are going to be a lot more accurate. Right?
Yeah,
so sometimes you're going to look at, I don't know, things like Georgina, 21%. If you live in Georgina, you did not make 21% in your home last month, right? It's just the numbers are a little bit more skewed. That's what it is, right?
Perfect.
But this is a very, very good chart to take a look at. And on average, we've seen, can you go back one slide?
Sure.
On average, so the entire GTA as a whole, we've been down 18% year over year.
And this is what we see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like a home, like my perspective.
Yeah.
$1 million house, I don't think you can buy it for $800,000.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it really depends where. It depends where.
No, in Mississauga.
Right, in Mississauga.
We were talking Mississauga, Toronto,
Yeah.
like a $1 million property, I don't think you can pick it up, right? Maybe a $2 million property you can buy for maybe 1.8, 1.75.
Yes, 100,
Right?
100%. And keep in mind that another article I just read today was a lot of the properties outside of the GTA, and I'm talking London, I'm talking Windsor, I'm talking
Woodstock,
so things
Paris.
like that. They're most likely, you're probably going to see a little bit more of a depreciation in those areas.
But their increases were
like
40%.
astonishing for a town like that, right?
Yes.
Not everybody is going to live in Windsor. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're from Windsor, God bless you, right? But like, it's just nobody. Those areas appreciated way more than they should have, right?
They didn't
Like
see
speculation
that,
was real over the last couple of years. I get it, right?
100%.
But there is real true value in the GTA because of supply and demand.
Yes.
People are not coming to Canada and going to live in Windsor. People are coming to Canada and living in the GTA.
Hub.
In the
Central.
hub, right? So that's where the supply and demand simple economics comes in, right? So those areas you might still see more of a way down, but the GTA as a whole,
I think it's strong,
my perspective, we have seen the bottom, and if we continue going down, it's
Minor.
I don't see us going down lower than 30-40.
So basically, if you see a property that you like, or it feels unique to you, or you want to live there, just buy it. I think we're...
Well, I think that's the case scenario at any given time. If you're buying a primary residence, you're going to be living there for 5 years, 10
Right,
years,
sure.
right? Whatever it's going to be. In 5 years' time, any chart that I show you, 5 years ago, $748,000 you would have bought something for this, you would have made $250,000, $280,000
Just like that,
in
yeah.
5 years. That's worst case scenario. That's at the bottom pricing, right? So if you sold it the absolute worst month ever, you would have still made $250,000 in 5 years' time, right? So if it's a primary residence, just make sure, for one, you're good and ready to buy the property financially, emotionally, and everything like that. And then just go out and look for it. Just go out and look for it, because it might be the first one and it might be the 100th one. You don't know. It's always a good idea to buy real estate and wait, rather than wait to buy real estate.
Thank you so much. I think all of you out there got this valuable information. Vailo, thank you so much. You did such a fabulous job.
Yeah, listen, thanks for having
with
me.
a simple chart.
Yeah,
you know,
simple charts. Yeah,
it's just amazing. Like this chart is just like,
yeah,
it's crazy. Like, you know,
it's very.
pulling it like
it's
that.
just analyzing the data. That's all it is, right? All of us have access to the exact same data. It's just analyzing
Looking
it
at
is what
it,
it's
right?
important. 100%.
Well, like I said, I want to thank you for coming, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.